Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year, everybody. And guess what? Tomorrow is week 17. So it's time for my week 17 DFS Catch Picks episode on the Big D podcast. Before I tell you my favorite week 17 cash plays, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page. It has been 2021 was an awesome year for me, and we're going to kick you know what in 2022. All kinds of content. We've got all different sports. Hopefully, we'll have multiple videos coming out per week, and won't just be football or golf or soccer, but it'll be all different sports. We've got all kinds of action planned for this year. Also, check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. But until this year, week 17 always meant a crazy week with guys not playing due to injury or teams resting key starters for the playoffs. Well, this year, week 17, it's just like any other week. Only 2021 is so unpredictable with guys missing due to injury or COVID. And tomorrow's slate is going to be just like the last few have been crazy, unpredictable, and hopefully rewarding for us. So at quarterback, there's really only one option this weekend. San Francisco 49er rookie Trey Lance. With the reports of Jimmy G likely not playing the ball with his torn UCL and a thumb, Trey Lance looks ready to get his second career start. And to me, Trey Lance is the only catch quarterback viable this weekend. I mean, yes, Lance has barely made any impact in his rookie campaign. Came off the bench and played the half in week 4 against Seattle. Started not very effectively against Arizona, and then barely seen anything from Lance since. But Trey Lance offers a different style quarterback than anybody way above him. He's got that running ability. In his two significant actions this year, Trey Lance has averaged 5.9 and 5.6 yards. So let's just say, San Francisco run-based team. Let us say Trey Lance got 12 carries times, say, 6 yards. That could be 70, 72 rushing yards right there. That's 7 points. There's a possibility Trey Lance gets a touchdown. That could be 8, 10, 12, 15 points just based on rushing. And if he got anything in the passing game, you're looking at a 20 something, and an 18, 20 point day at less than 5 Gs. So Trey Lance offers that cheap running quarterback we want this week. With Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp on the slate, we need a cheap quarterback. Trey Lance offers a quarterback with rushing upside and capable of throwing. And yes, Jimmy G is probably not playing them all. But San Francisco's got Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and potentially Jeff Wilson and maybe even Elijah Mitchell back. So San Francisco's going to be loaded with weapons. And Houston's not a great defense, whether it be against the run or against the pass. Although my Jaguars couldn't take advantage of it a couple weeks ago, but that's a story for another day. So again, Trey Lance makes the most sense at 4,800. At running back, to me, there is one consensus option, and it's David Montgomery. The Bears have been pitiful, but it's not David Montgomery's fault. He has been a workhorse. I mean, last week in Seattle, 21 carries, 45 yards, scored on the ground, but 9 targets. 9 targets. 9 targets. I mean, 9 targets to me is the biggest story. And two things we like from running backs are targets and red zone touches. Dave Montgomery is getting a lot of runs, getting a lot of targets, and a lot of red zone touches. So, I mean, yeah, both teams are not exactly starting the greatest quarterback, but Chicago is the favorite. So with the Bears getting in the red zone the ball, Dave Montgomery's probably getting the ball. And if Chicago's getting the ball somewhere in the goal line, it's probably going to be David Montgomery's score. So whether as a runner or receiver, David Montgomery makes the most sense this week from a from a floor perspective. He's got the ability to rush the ball 20, 25 times, and I've noticed last 4 games, David Montgomery's gotten at least 6 targets. So you've got that consistent rushing ability with some receiving upside. So David Montgomery should be in your lineup more. Then it gets really interesting because depending on injuries, I think there are a couple guys available. One, Sony Michel is really starting to become almost a safe play every week. I mean, with LA leaning on Michel the last 4 weeks, he has been a workhorse. I mean, 27 carries, 131 yards, no Henderson for this team. Probably no Cam Akers. I don't think LA is going to rush Cam Akers back before the playoffs. So I expect a lot of work tomorrow. Even though Baltimore's defense is not anywhere near healthy, on sevens in better shape than the back end. I still think Michel is heavily involved in the running game, so a good chance he'll get 18, 20, 22 carries more. Not really a receiver, but if LA runs the ball inside the 5-yard line, probably going to be Sony Michel. So can he get the 100-yard bonus? Can he potentially score? Yes and yes. But I think Sony Michel is fairly safe for at least probably 20 carries, and good chance he could find the end zone with the Rams of favorite. $100 cheaper than Sony Michel is a really interesting guy. It's with Chase Edmonds at 5,700. Could be another great catch value depending on the status of James Conner. Conner looking like a game time decision for the Moles game, but Chase Edmonds was a beast on Christmas night against the Colts. 16 carries, 56 yards, and a lot like Monty, 9 targets. We love targets out of the backfield, and in a potential shootout, high-paced game with the Cowboys, Chase Edmonds can be Kyler's check down. I mean, can we predict 9 targets again? Probably not, but could he get 7, 8? Definitely. And if Arizona gets in the end zone, Chase Edmonds could get whether it's a run or a receive. So I think Edmonds makes a lot of sense at 5,700. But if you want 2 other cheap guys, Michael Carter at 5,100 is really tempting this weekend because it looks like I don't believe Tevin Coleman's playing tomorrow. No, I'm gonna check right now. Yeah, Tevin Coleman's on the COVID list, so it looks like Michael Carter's backfield tomorrow. And yes, everybody says don't use a running back against the Buccaneers. But these are not normal circumstances. One, Tampa's not 100% on defense. They've had several guys either not playing or probably not playing or questionable tomorrow. And secondly, Michael Carter can be a capable running back out of the backfield. And yes, might not get a lot of rush. He got 118 last week, but he can be a receiving back. He got 14 targets in Week 8 against the Bengals, 9 against New England. So Carter could be a receiving back. If the Jets fall behind, that might not be bad for Carter because if he got 8, 9 targets, he can really rack up a lot of receiving yards. If he got 7 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown, he'd be good there at just 5,100. And then another cheap guy is Jared Patterson at 4,800 with no Antonio Gibson the whole. I think Jared Patterson is really interesting. And yes, the Washington football team flat out embarrassed themselves last Sunday night against the Cowboys. But, Gibson would have been probably a very chalky potential cast option this week, especially with what he's done the last couple of weeks, particularly that game against the Eagles. But looks like Gibson not playing the role. But I really think Patterson has got a chance to have double-digit carries tomorrow, potentially make a threat out of the backfield. And the goal line back is a key. At 4,800, you don't need much. Trust me, if you used Justin Jackson last weekend, you probably won. Whether it be in catch or GPPs, you probably won. If you use Justin Jackson like I did, you won a catch, and you imagine using a Bengals stack and Justin Jackson, you probably won last week. So Jared Patterson's that cheap running back this week's probably the cheapest I'll consider going, but depending on who's playing or who's not the more, I think Patterson's very intriguing. The projections really like him. At wide receiver, can I go with the obvious? Play Cooper Kupp. That guy's ridiculous at football right now. I mean, this Cooper Kupp is having one of those years we'll think, what? See, let's see. He has received double-digit targets in every game but one. I mean, last week for Cooper Kupp, a quiet week, 10 for 109. 10 for 109. It's a quiet week for Cooper Kupp this week. And yes, Cooper Kupp's 9,500. But there's more than enough value at quarterback, running back, tight end that you can play Cooper Kupp without even thinking about it. No Devontae Adams again. He's on the Packers are playing on Sunday night, so you don't have to worry about choosing between Kupp or Adams. And secondly, did anybody see Joe Burrow and the Bengals throw for 500 plus yards last week? Baltimore's defense is banged up. I don't think the weather and I think the Rams are going to throw the ball. I think Stafford will get on track. So I expect a lot of Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Will he get double-digit targets tomorrow? Yeah, probably. Will he go over 100 yards? Probably. Will he find the end zone? Good chance of it. So you told me Cooper Kupp 10, 100, and a touchdown? I don't care what he is. Cooper Kupp should be more than 9,500. I mean, we all remember when Christian McCaffrey was 10 grand seemingly every single week a couple years ago. Cooper Kupp should be in that range. And then another big injury concern this week is the status of Bucs star Antonio Brown. I said play AB last week. He was way too cheap. He was a free swing. 10,400 plus. And he's still too cheap this week. But bad news. He's got a bum ankle again. So, and it's another one of those game time decisions. Now, fortunately with Tampa, the Bucs on the 1 o'clock window, so we're going to know at 11:30 whether or not AB is playing. If AB plays, I think he's in a great spot. He's simply too cheap. If you told me AB's getting 10 targets again, I don't think the Jets could cover anybody. I really don't think the Jets could cover anybody right now. Tom Brady's going to look for AB, particularly with Mike Evans coming back from a hamstring and B a COVID diagnosis. So the timing, so even if Evans can play no more, and it's very questionable, maybe more doubtful than anything he plays. So if AB's healthy and ready to rumble, he'll be fine playing. And just checking out the weather. Well, it's not exactly in the same area, but hold on. Let me let me see. I don't think the weather will be an issue for that game tomorrow. It's actually been quite warm in a good part of the country. And let me see. Let me see. It is 50. It looks like it'll be in the mid 50s tomorrow with very little wind. So good. So a very good day to throw the football. It's a lot warmer than it usually is this time of the year in the Northeast. So throwing the ball shouldn't be an issue in Baltimore or MetLife. But to me, the biggest challenge I've got this week is who my third receiver be this week, because there are a couple guys I really like. I think Michael Pittman's in play at 5,800. With the news that Carson Wentz is off the COVID list, I think Michael Pittman Jr. is back in play this week, because generally when the Colts throw it, it's probably to Pittman, because he can be a target monster. Last week he got 12 targets for 82 yards against the Cardinals. He's gotten double-digit targets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times this year. And yes, everybody thinks of Indianapolis as a running team with Jonathan Taylor, but if the Colts throw it, it's usually with Michael Pittman. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pittman is a target monster in them all. And another guy, oddly enough, at the same price tag is Christian Kirk. Now, Arizona's in a little different spot compared to Indy, because DeAndre Hopkins missed the last several weeks with a multitude of injuries, and Kirk's become a target monster. 12 targets against the Lions, 9 against the Colts. And the Moles got a potential of a shootout in Arlington. So could Kirk get double-digit targets? Yes. And I understand how well the Cowboys' defense has played. I think they could have, be honest, yours truly could have played DB with the quarterbacks they faced the last couple of weeks. But step up with Kyler Murray in the Arizona attack. So I expect Kirk to be busy. I think DJ Moore's a possibility at 5,600. Sam Darnold back under center in the mall. DJ Moore's received double-digit targets the last 4 weeks. And no other concerns in the Superdome. And look what Jalen Water did on Monday night. I know people may be concerned about Lattimore, but DJ Moore's a potential. Remember early in the year when DJ Moore wrecked defenses? He could 8 for 113, 2 scores against the Cowboys. DJ Moore could be a really good play. Another of the cheap plays if you need the salary the more. Braxton Berrios, 6 targets against the Jacks last week, 10 against the Saints a couple weeks before that. Good chance the Jets are behind. Good chance the Jets are throwing. So the potential is there for Berrios to be there. And also make a play in the return game as a punt or kick returner. So maybe give you a little upside in that. And tight end, I think there are a couple ways you could go. To me, I think spending down is probably better. I really like targeting somebody in that Kansas City-Cincinnati game, another shootout potential. I really like CJ Usama at 3,300. Cole Kmet, I mean, through the Giants Bears game could be an absolute crap festival, but if I'm going to play a Bear pass catcher, it'll probably be Cole Kmet. And if you really need salary, I think Brevin Jordan, you could do worse than Brevin Jordan 2,800. I don't really, I think pin up for Kelsey, Kittle, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts will be more the plays I would use in a GPP, but I like using the tight end. And for defense, I think there are a couple different ways to go. I think the Saints make sense with Dawn, the Panthers being turnover machines, the Bears with Lord knows who's playing under center in the mall, and the Giants basically having like no wide receivers outside Kenny Galladay. I think Chicago makes sense. I think New England makes sense if you can afford them against the Jags. I mean, um, Bill Belichick handles rookie quarterbacks. I think Miami's defense makes sense. There are a couple other ones you can use, but uh, it's not that cheap defense I really want to play this week. But it may just be based on how much money you've got. If you've got the money, potentially pay up for defense. Like I used Philly's defense last week, and that worked out fine. So. And really, at defense, if you can get one big play, you might be in the game. So, again, there could be more news in the next 6:25 or so tonight, but it could be more news between now and 11:30 or 2:30 tomorrow. And just keep your eyes on Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, and figure out who to play and which guys you like, and get ready for the first slate of 2022. I can't wait for it. It's 2022. We're gonna eat it just like we did all last year, and hopefully tomorrow will be plenty of rain. Can't wait to see week 17 tomorrow. I think it'll be fun. I hope my happy New Year to everybody. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. I hope you all win lots of dough tomorrow. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.